Hello everyone, my name is Glitchy and welcome to my first Predecessor character guide. I wanted to share some of my knowledge around building the character Murdock. Building a character in Predecessor isn't just picking a character, looking up 5 items that you need to buy and stick to that. There needs to be an understanding on the character's role, their abilities, and what their abilities scale with. Murdock is a carry or ADC, which stands for Attack Damage Carry. This means your main focus should be your auto attacks or left clicks. But Murdock is a tad more than that. Let's dive into his kit to have a greater understanding on what to do and what to build. Murdock's passive allows his next basic attack to be empowered with 30% additional physical penetration and have an increased range of 450. I don't know what unit, but it's 450. Every hit will decrease the standard cooldown, which is 14.5 seconds, by 1.5 seconds. This can be a great opener against heroes, but also a great asset when you're chasing heroes or if you're being chased. Your left mouse click is a physical damage dealing shot, and your right mouse click is a buckshot. You basically discharge a shotgun blast that will push back enemies. Depending on how far you are from the target, you will deal physical damage that could decrease by up to 60% depending on the distance. This physical damage increases by ability level, as you can see by the 5 different numbers, but scale with physical power. You will gain percentage-based additional damage depending on your total physical power. Your Q places a static trap. Once an enemy triggers it, they will be rooted for 1.25 seconds. You can have a maximum of 3 traps increasing to up to 5 based on the ability's level, and they can stay active for 60 seconds per trap. This ability has 2 charges, and it will deal 80 to 240 damage, and it scales with 100% of your physical power. Your E ability is a stim pack that will allow you to increase your maximum health with 50 up to 170. This also scales with physical power. You will have an increased movement speed by 4% up to 8% as well, 1% extra per level, and you will gain slow immunity for 5 seconds. This can also be used to cleanse you from a slow effect. Once Murdock drops below 30% health, Stim Pack will activate automagically. Lastly, your R or your Alt, the long arm of the law. This is just Murdock being a sniper that can shoot anything through anything. You will deal 200 up to 450 damage on hit, and it scales by 110% of your physical power. By understanding Murdock's abilities, you will notice that building physical power is your main priority, as nothing scales with magical power. Another thing to note is that these abilities, of course, cost an amount of mana. And this cost is quite high. Murdock doesn't have any escape abilities, except for his buckshot that pushes back enemies to give him some space, but in general, you will want to focus on your traps when running away from enemies. What this means is that you will need physical power first, mana second, and at least some movement speed. A secondary focus can also be attack speed and critical chance, since carries will benefit from this greatly. The reason for extra movement is a simple one. When shooting while moving, Murdock is a tad slower. So if you have an item that adds movement speed, you will notice a difference. This also adds to moving backwards when you're being chased. With that being said, the following items will be the ones you could focus on for a general build. You will want to start with a Marksman crest and select the Liberator upon completion. This will add all necessary stats to you and will function as your cleanse and shield. As for the items, Resolution is a great item that will grant you 400 extra mana fully stacked and will deal 3% of your maximum mana as extra physical damage, as well as grant 2.5% of your bonus mana as critical chance. What you will need to do in a match is build the mana stacking item first, which is the Soul Chalice. Then you can move on to the second item and finish Resolution whenever possible. Your second item is an in-the-moment choice. Well, anything is really, but for the general build, you will need to ask yourself if you need movement speed faster or if you want to be more powerful earlier. In general, I like the movement and attack speed earlier, so you can build the Dust Devil second. This item is a beast as it grants 3% attack speed for 5 seconds, stacking up to 6 times. And at maximum stacks you get 30 extra physical power and 15% movement speed. Awesome. Then you can decide to finish your Resolution or build Vanquisher next. If you do build Vanquisher next, Resolution should be finished afterward. But I digress. Why Vanquisher? Well, first off, it grants plus 2% of your maximum mana as physical power, which is amazing with Resolution. Its second ability will kill enemies that would be left at 5% health instantly. It literally vanquishes them. The fourth item should be Imperator, or however you pronounce it. You will gain 1% physical power per 4% critical chance, which at this point is already a lot. You will also deal 15% more critical damage. The fifth item could also be your fourth if you wish to build it earlier, and this is a Tainted Rounds. You would want to build this to negate your target's healing by 40% when hitting them with basic attacks. Additionally, your basic attacks deal 12% of your physical damage as magical damage on hit extra. Wow, that's a mouthful. This could increase to 100% depending on the enemy's missing health. These items are solid for a Murdock build, and you will surely do fine with these. There are other routes that you can take though, like a physical power, crit, and penetration build. You could build Ashbringer first, which will deal 20 bonus physical damage on hit and decrease your basic ability cooldowns by 0.25 seconds. It will decrease by half a second on critical hits. And lastly, it will ignore 35% of the enemy's physical defense before penetration. Then you can build Demolisher, as it will deal 35% extra damage on the opening shot. Remember that Murdock already had a great potential opener with his passive? This goes great with that. Oh yeah, and this item also ignores 35% of the enemy's physical armor before penetration. I am no good at the actual math, but I am unsure if it is now 70% with these two items or like 50% total. You can correct me in the comments. Imperator can be a great addition in this build, but Painweaver will be a great asset in this build as well. It will grant plus 50% of your bonus physical damage as bonus physical damage on hit within 6 seconds of using an ability. This means that you can use your stim pack to empower yourself twice. One with the ability of course, and secondly with the Painweaver. This extra damage is increased based on the target's missing health. Another interesting addition can be Demon Edge, since it will grant you extra physical power when your HP is above 40% or Omnivamp below 40%. And just like the first two items, this will also allow you to ignore 35% of the enemy's physical armor before penetration. If you decided to skip Imperator and have a fifth slot open, you can build Omen, as this will allow you to build stacks on the item when moving. At full stacks, your next basic attack will deal bonus damage based on your physical power and reduce your basic ability cooldowns by 1.5 seconds. As you can probably tell, this build will be able to shred your opponents in no time with its physical penetration and armor ignore. These were two builds that I use and would recommend, but there are tons more builds that are viable, like a full attack speed build for example. So you can use these two builds as is, or take these builds as a reference while you're working on your own. You are an absolute legend if you've made it this far into the video, and I would really appreciate if you would hit that like button for me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.